Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow TikTok enjoyers, welcome back to episode, I hope, 42 of the Dark Dimension TikTok series. So, I will not lie, even though on the viewer side of things, you guys will not notice this, and gals potentially, I have definitely noticed it on the content creator side. I have not done one of these for a while. As you might have heard from the last episode, which is hopefully 41, I have finally been unemployed. Now, I've been unemployed for a while, and usually I record these weekly because I was employed. But now that I'm unemployed and I've went through a lot of trials and torment, all self-imposed, I found it hard to record one of these, but we're back once again. I finally mustered up the willpower and courage to do so. So, enough of the soapbox. Why are we here? We're here firstly because I have food. I have some Korean style black ramen. I don't really know the exact flavor, but it's black, so that's pretty cool. I have some 2-day old chicken cutlet with buffalo sauce, some Burger King fries, of which I have two left because I was munching on them before this, and and I think that's a pear and a cantaloupe. And while I have food, I like to do nothing better than to educate the good people of this world by reacting to content from TikTok that proves to us that we are in a dark dimension. I am a firm believer of if we do not know the truth, we cannot begin to change our situation, and people have a false reality of things that I want to shatter, mostly for good reasons, I think, but also for self satisfaction of proving people are wrong. Because when I say shit sucks, they're like, oh, it's not that bad. And I'm like, yes, it is. And this is why. Excuse me. So, I'm going to be eating, I'm going to be munching down on the food, and we're going to be reacting to TikTok that's hopefully going to convince everyone we are in the dark dimension and things need to change. At the very least, I hope by showing this, I don't inspire someone to do what, you know, the problem people are doing, which very well could happen. Because by exposing this, you can get copycats or people that also abuse the system as well. But hopefully, people will realize that's not good, and it just furthers suffering of not only them later on, because I feel like it's all going to come back around, especially with the environment, but suffering for everyone. But if they don't care about everyone, especially for them, because again, it's all going to come back around because we're all in this together. But anyway, let's continue to make dumbass content on the internet. Let's go. Let's do the first TikTok. So, since I'm unemployed, like I said, even though I've had some issues, I don't know how long we're going to go with this. We might go for a while. I don't know when I'm going to record the next one, but thank God I had such a backlog because my backlog spans till the end of December, and I'm recording this one day before Destroy Dick December. And I've participated in No Nut November, and I am now, after today at least, going to be the 4-time champion. But anyway, some things we have to say before we begin. Number one, I'm actually recording this in the daytime. It is not night, so I can be somewhat loud. However, that comes with the added detriment of the old ones, my overlords, are awake, so they might come and bother me. And if they do, you guys might hear a different language, but that's just the price we have to pay. And number two, the usual, well, two and three, I guess I'll combine them, is number one, obviously I haven't recorded these in a while. I'm still sending myself TikToks too, and I'm still sending myself a lot of them because the algorithm knows what I interact with, I guess. Not if it's true, but what I interact with. And we're very far behind. We are very, very far behind. I think right now, I was sending myself these videos near the end of September, possibly, but I'm unsure. Definitely mid-September at least. And again, we're at the literal last day of November. So we're very behind. My whole 1 month trailing limit that I wanted to impose basically flew out the fucking window. So we're very behind. A lot of these things are outdated. I might skip some, or I might just spoil some because of time constraints and relativity. But that's that. And obviously, the last thing, don't take everything here. Truthfully, take it with a grain of salt, because hopefully I've proved already with the other 41 episodes, I hope, of this series, because I really hope I'm not messing up the number and saying this is 42 when it isn't, that There's a lot of misinformation out there. A struggle of the modern age that I feel like will continue to be a struggle, especially with all the AI and the editing software and everything, is going to be discerning the truth from the lies. But anyway, I think that's enough of a intro. We went for about 5 minutes as per usual. And we're probably going to react to not that many videos because I'm going to talk like an animal, but hopefully I won't because we have a lot to get through to catch up to the present, which I'm still hoping, it's still my dream we're going to catch up, but I'm very much doubting it. But anyway, let's see what they have to say. Now, I actually remember this TikTok well. Even though I sent it to myself so long ago, I remember it so well because it is so real. So let's take a look at it. Let's finally begin.
What did Warren Buffett say? He said, I can fix the national debt problem in 5 seconds by doing
How is he going to fix it? So for those of you who don't know, Warren Buffett, one of the legendary investors, the Oracle of Omaha, he's been on the show before, not in person, just through video medium. And he's very wise, but he's also a fossil. So I don't know if all of his ideas and stuff are as relevant today, but I still think he has great ideas, and obviously he has to be at a certain level of intelligence to get where he is, and a certain level of luck, and he knows that too. But let's see what he has to say. Ready? How do you end the debt problem?
What he says himself. This is Warren Buffett, $100 billion guy.
$100 billion.
These problems are problems that have built up over decades, and there hasn't been a Congress that's been mature enough or a president that's been mature enough to take this head on.
Yeah, because they're fighting each other.
In 5 minutes. You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election.
That's accountability. The curse word in America the last 30 years has been accountability. If we can bring accountability in hospitals, in Congress, in Medicare, Medicaid, in real estate, in education, a lot of things are going to change.
Yep. So I couldn't agree more. I think that a big problem in government is they haven't been for the people. They're just fighting each other. And when you start to impose actual accountability, when you start to impose consequences, I would say, for the actions, then they start, they're going to stop fucking around with each other. It's going to be less about, hey, how do we one-up each other, even though it's still going to be there. And then it's going to be about more getting stuff done. Because right now, there's no checks and balances. I believe checks and balances have basically gone out the window. They just do what they want unchecked. And it's a clown show. I really do think it's a clown show. And I feel like other countries are seeing it. They're laughing at us. Our own people are laughing at us because they're just so disillusioned, as am I. And, it takes some, there's so many logical, very easy to understand solutions that a lot of people can think of that just will never happen because things are so corrupt. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with Warren Buffett here. Even though he's pretty old and some of his ideas might be outdated, he's still a very smart man, and I fully agree with him. So let's go next.
There is only one reason that people are not interested in after-work events anymore, and
because they suck. It's not just one reason. I could list a couple, right? Because I actually was suffering from this in my old job that they, axed me from. I never went to any events. Why? Well, number one, I don't fucking like the people, right? And even if I did like the people, number two, I have no fucking money. And number three, even if I had money, I have very little fucking time, right? There's other things I like to do, and it becomes to a point, and this is a little spoiler for the future, way, way in the future, because I sent this to myself in the last couple of days, but this is where companies are getting so sick with this shit, and I think I've covered it before, that, it's not a company culture anymore, it's a company cult. What they want to do, either to look good to other companies, because it's a big pissing contest when you're rich, right? When you're rich, it's about, oh, you made 9 billion? Well, I made 10 billion. What does that change? How high your fucking piss goes, I guess, because that's all they're competing with anymore. They've solved, all their really materialistic problems, right? They have more than enough mansions, super yachts, jets, whatever. It's just, do I have more than the other guy? It's all like an ego battle, similar to what's happening in Congress, too. But it's just there's a lot of different reasons I can think why people don't want to do stuff after work, especially for company-related stuff. Also, a lot of people just hate their fucking job. It's not even the people that make it bad. Sometimes it is. For me, it was. But it's also this is a job. I don't love it. I have to do it. It's not terrible. It's not great. But I'm not going to do something, for something I have no real passion about. I just need it to survive. Because that's the case for a lot of people, I think. But let's see what this lovely lady thinks.
Pay them enough.
Oh,
so this
that's
is
true.
from Deloitte's
that's
Gen
true.
Z and Millennials.
Oh, Deloitte! I used to work for them.
50% of people in that
in
group
Rockefeller
had a side hustle of some kind.
Yeah,
and
side
then when
hustle
we
is just another
why those
job.
people have those side hustles, For most of them, it's because they need the second source of income just to survive. Why let they go to a happy hour where they're spending their own personal time, their own personal money, when they could be making a second income? If employers want these type of employees back, they have to raise wages in order to keep up with inflation. Because you paid your employees the same thing in 2001 that you're paying them now, and you're expecting the same output when you are not giving them the same quality of life.
And that is one of the biggest things that's been echoed. The output has increased, the pay has not.
So make sure you follow along. I love to talk about Gen Z and complain.
Ooh, that's me. I'm Gen Z. So, a little anecdotal story here, obviously from my previous job. I used to work with lawyers. Lawyers would always go out drinking. They have a very stressful job, you know, I'm not going to lie about that. Not that I lie in general, but I'm gonna truth about that. Lawyers are very stressed. So I don't, you know, I kind of don't really give them a pass, but it's understandable why they drink, why they smoke. They need some really big stress relievers, right? Even though that doesn't do them good in the long run, we're very short term anyway. This is where they would always ask me, at least in the beginning of my job, hey, Chris, we're going to happy hour. You want to come? This, and that. Number one, I fucking hate alcohol, right? I'm sad that that's one of the social things that's in our culture. Drink. Number one, it's unhealthy. Number two, like, I fucking hate it. It tastes like shit. But I also couldn't afford drinking with them. They fucking drink in Midtown Manhattan. I can't afford this shit. And they don't realize that because, like I always say, the rich are disconnected from society. They don't realize certain things. When I would tell them, like, I can't afford to go out with you guys, they didn't understand that. They're like, oh, but Chris, you work full time. You could go out with us. You could afford it. No, I can't, bitch. You guys are buying fucking drink that are like at least $12 like a cup. And it's like a mini shot glass too. It's like, I can't afford this shit. But anyway, yeah, no one wants to go out for a lot more reasons than just this, but this is probably one of the biggest reasons. They just got no money. Or like the comments say, they're tired, they just want to go home, they have other people they like spending time with. Job isn't your end-all be-all, and that's where a lot of people, me included, feel this sort of dissonance with society, where if you don't love your job, if you're not grinding and hustling, you're going counter to what the culture has been set up in America, and you feel bad for it. Or at least that's what I felt. Like, I felt sort of worthless, especially since I've been unemployed. Even though I've been loving it, I've also been hating it. And it makes me sort of feel weird because, oh, I'm not being productive, I'm not working, and by being productive, it realistically means being taken advantage of, because they're making way more off you than you are making off them, or you're getting from them, rather. So yeah, this shit sucks, and people don't love their jobs and they don't get paid enough, so why would they go out and do more time voluntarily with their job, or around their job environment, especially with the people? Anyway, yeah, pretty nice video. Let's go next.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams is saying that the city is facing a financial tsunami, and
financial tsunami. Why? Because we have one of the biggest budgets for a city. I don't know if it's the biggest, and I feel like searching it up right now because I'm eating, but we have one of the biggest budgets, and like I always said, I'm in Midtown Manhattan, one of the richest places in the world, right? They took months to fix a traffic light.
He is telling the nation, we can't handle this, and everything's on the table, and budget cuts are gonna get serious, folks. Watch it.
So he's telling this to who? No one fucking cares. People hate New York. New Yorkers hate New York. Other people who haven't been think it's good, they come here, they're like, wow, this is shit. The only time you're gonna like New York is if you're rich, and that's such a low percentage of people. That's stupid. New York sucks. Unless you're into hustling like a slave, New York sucks.
His interview over the weekend.
You're talking about every single department being...
And he's gonna blame the migrants.
cut. That is a broad statement. Can you zero in on maybe something a little more direct, that a service that may be cut, and how soon people might see it?
We're going to reveal to the entire city. Each agency, what we're asking, every agency is going to have to do a 5% PEG program to eliminate the gap. And we're going to show New Yorkers exactly what we're faced with, because transparency is crucial here.
He's saying this almost like a threat. He's saying like New Yorkers have an option here, or like they have some sort of leverage or power to do something, when the people in power are the ones who have this option. Regular New Yorkers can't do anything except suffer. So I don't understand his whole demeanor here, where he's like, regular New Yorkers are gonna finally see, what's gonna happen. Yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen that you decide because of your actions. Like, what? This is where it makes no fucking sense to me. And there's so much greed and corruption in the system, especially in New York, where it's just like they're pocketing so much and they're benefiting so much, and we're getting the shit end of the stick, and then for some reason they're making us feel guilty and blaming us. Or at least that's how I'm taking this. But let's see.
We're talking $12 billion. Sanitation, police, education,
libraries.
What he's saying is we can't afford to live the life that we lead. It's not like New York City is so safe as it is, and it will become less so because they can't pay enough people to take care of the population.
And why can't they pay enough people? It doesn't make any sense. And it's because of the migrants and all their stupid decisions. Now, granted, the migrant situation, especially in New York, is a hot topic, right? Similar to what's happening in Palestine and Israel. Because that's like by the time this video was made, which is on 9/17, so again, around mid-September, the whole Palestine-Israel conflict hasn't even started yet, and now we're in the thick of it. Like, that's basically, like, I don't want to get too far into it because it's also a heated topic, but it's like, Jesus Christ, what is going on with the world? Like, it's terrible. And we're definitely going to get to that stuff in the show eventually, who knows. But it's just crazy, man. New York just sucks so much. The freaking governing body sucks so much. Everything sucks. I might title I might title this episode this, right? Everything like NYC sucks. That might be the episode title. Anyway, let's go next. Great video. New York sucks dick.
Mr. Yang, your signature policy is to give every adult in the United States $1,000
yes.
no questions asked. That's right.
So this is where this is going to be about UBI, right? Obviously, this is a dead beaten horse because this is never going to happen. Well, I wish it would happen, but it's probably not going to, even though I think with AI replacing people's jobs, not too well yet, but in the future, who knows? Because it's a exponential growth curve of how good it gets. This is where a lot of people say UBI will not help, and I've always said the same thing. There will be always a subset of people, a small percentage of people that take advantage, right? No matter what, you can't get rid of that. If you have people, some of them are going to be bad, some of them are going to commit crime, some of them are going to take advantage. It does not matter, right? It's all now, granted, the amount can change, the percentage can change, but I feel like it's always going to be decently small compared to the rest of the population. This is where UBI, right? A lot of places have tested it. Granted, it's small scale. Excuse me. It's small scale when you look at the rest of society and how big it is. However, this is where UBI in most places or everywhere that it's been tested, and I don't have the actual studies themselves, again, because I'm eating and I'm lazy, I don't want to get them, but from what I've seen, it's almost universally been a good thing that are helping people. This is where a lot of people say, oh, you're just going to make them lazy, you're just going to make them not want to work. No, this is just a helping hand people need to keep living at this point. This is where off of a job, like they said before, you need a side hustle and a job, which is essentially a second job. So having a helping hand is going to help people, and most people, granted, I'm actually in the minority. If you give me UBI, I'm going to try my hardest not to work because working sucks dick, but even then, I like money, so I might work maybe part-time or something, who knows. As long as the job isn't fucking shit and demeaning and making me feel like shit, but they all mostly do. So, regardless, most people who are not like me are going to take UBI and they're going to work even more because they want more money. Because not only do they need more money, but after they get what they need, they want more. Because that's the type of society we live in, consumeristic. But this is where UBI, I think, is just the natural next step. Capitalism has gone into an extreme and it's obviously not doing too good. And a lot of people share on UBI with, I think, arguments that are not bad, right? I think like the argument of, oh, people won't want to work, like this is stupid. I think it's a good argument to explore, but I think it's easily debunked, not only with research and thought, but also with, real life examples of them testing UBI already. Sure, there's going to be people who abuse it, but there's going to be way more people benefiting off of it than there are abusing it. And that's basically my opinions that I'm probably repeating, because I forgot to say in the beginning, but I'm probably going to repeat 97.7 things that I've said before. So anyway, let's see what Andrew Yang says.
That's right. I think that's like $3.2 trillion a year. How would you do that?
Nothing related to what we owe, our deficit.
So it's difficult to do if you have
what
companies
our
like
debt is.
Amazon, trillion-dollar tech companies paying literally zero in taxes,
Yep.
closing 30% of our stores.
Uh-huh.
Now, we need to put the American people in position to benefit from all these innovations in other parts of the economy.
Exactly.
If we had a value-added tax...
You know what I say? What he's saying is essentially the same as what I'm saying. We need to put the American people to benefit, not even the American people, all people, to benefit from society. Technology has gotten better. We've gotten breakthroughs and stuff. So why have things gotten worse for most people? It doesn't make sense.
Even half the European level, it would generate over 800 billion in new revenue, which combined with the money in our hands, it would be the trickle-up economy from our people.
Trickle up, baby.
We would spend the money and it would circulate through our regional economies and neighborhoods, creating millions of jobs, making our families stronger and healthier.
It's gonna make people work more.
On things like incarceration, homelessness services, emergency room health care, and
it's going to save us costs on things like homelessness.
Healthier, mentally healthier population would increase GDP by $700 billion. This is the move that we have to make, particularly as technology is now automating away millions of American jobs. It's why Donald Trump is our president today, that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And we're about to do the same thing to millions of retail jobs, call center jobs, fast food jobs, truck driving jobs.
And this is already in the present. This is already happening. Again, it's not happening well because self-driving trucks are still crashing. Call center automations are like not as good as real people, even though real people weren't the best anyway. But they're going to improve, and the level at which they've declined with automation isn't enough to stop automation. I'll give you an example. A call center automates itself, right? They probably still have 1 or 2 employees to answer the really big calls, right? Or the really, like, complex calls. But for the most part, even if the chat bot or the AI bot, whatever, fucks up most of the calls and is a worse experience, it's still going to be more cost effective and make the person more money than putting the people back, even though it's a worse experience. Like, as long as it's breaking even or doing slightly better than the workers, which it's very easy to do because AI costs essentially nothing compared to a real life person, there's no reason not to do it from a business and just monetary standpoint. Like, people don't care about feelings. People don't care about the experience. As long as they're getting what they need, which is the money, it's not going to matter if your experience is shittier if you're still doing it. And this is where the sad part is, people do decide with their wallets, but their wallets are easily opened.
Value-added tax would end up, you'd still be increasing the buying power of the bottom 94% of Americans. You have to spend a lot of money for a mild value-add tax to eat up $12,000 a year per individual. So for the average family with 2 or 3 adults, it'd be $24,000 to $36,000 a year.
Mr. Yang, you're...
Amazing. Amazing. The fact that I did that in a minute and a half, amazing. Now, Andrew Yang, among most of the candidates, obviously he's probably rich. He's probably extremely intelligent too. But anyone at this point, and I don't want to really advertise this thinking too much because it's not a good way of thinking. But I sometimes do this, and I'm guilty of this, and I'm trying not to do it. There's this thinking I have, right? Where, they're in government, they must be corrupt. All of government or most of government is corrupt. How can we tell the good apples from the bad? Is there even any good apples in there? We should never generalize. We should never do broad sweeping things to everything, right? Not everyone in government is corrupt, but because there's so many that are, it's hard to tell who is and who's not. And sometimes what ends up happening is you think everyone who's in there is. I don't know if Andrew Yang is corrupt. He might be in some ways. This is where it's not black and white. There's levels of corruption, right? I think to a certain level, everyone in government might be corrupt, except maybe a select few like Katie Porter, which we've shown on the show anyway. But aside from Katie Porter, right, which even she might be corrupt too. This is where you really don't know anymore. I think Andrew Yang as well as Bernie might be a little corrupt too, but this is where, regardless of their corruption status, even though I think it's low, I think what they say, excuse me, I think what they say is so good and so important that, like, regardless of the corruption and who they are, their ideas are right. Granted, maybe they shouldn't be the ones saying them, but who else is going to say them because they're the only people in positions of power? And I hope Andrew Yang isn't corrupt. I hope he's actually putting this money where his mouth is and he believes this, but who knows? It could be a whole Donald Trump wall situation where he says he's going to build the wall, he gets elected for the wall don't get built. So, who really knows? I mean, that's how most politicians campaign. They campaign on lies. But regardless, I'm still hopeful, and this is, again, what I think to be the natural next step. Anyway, great video. Let's go next. I like Andrew Yang.
Did y'all see what Biden said? They had to cut him off from the mic. Check it out.
Okay, so I don't remember. I think I showed this a little bit. I don't know if I showed, like, the whole thing. Hopefully she shows something different. But for me, it's been a while, so I don't mind seeing it again. But just to talk on Biden a little bit, right? I've said this a little bit before, but I'll say it again. I feel like Biden, I feel like he was dealt the shit hand, right? This is where I don't fully understand our politics, even though I'm an American. This is where I don't fully understand what the president is in charge of, what he's capable of, what he should be capable of. However, this is where I think unilaterally, most people agree that Biden is really fucking old, and like he's not mentally all there and fit to be president. Now maybe he's just a terrible public appearance, right? Maybe he's just like not good in public. But it's like, goddamn, as an American, I feel embarrassed that this guy's our leader and he's like falling down the stairs, slurring his sentences similar to what I do. When I'm like really sleepy. And it just like it makes us look like buffoons, the fact that we follow this guy. It's like, what the fuck is this? Like, are you serious? But it's just crazy. And this guy wants to run for another term, right? I don't really hate Biden. I don't really like him. But it's like, bro, from the visuals that it's looking like, from what I see, it ain't looking good. I don't think he should go for another term. He says he needs to finish the job. Man, I think you made the job worse. Now, granted, was it his fault? I don't know. I don't really know what he's influencing and what not, or what's his like even responsibility. But all I know is I think things are getting worse, and he didn't really help things. So let's see him make a fool of himself and make me embarrassed to be an American again.
Nobody likes.
What do we like?
Having. Celebrated.
He's
international
struggling.
Meetings.
What?
If you don't know what you want at the meeting.
What?
If you don't have a game plan. He may have a game plan. He just hasn't shared it with me. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Oh my God. It's so sad. It's so sad how old this is, right? Because this was memed so hard when it came out. And it's so funny. It's like, what the fuck is he saying? I'm trying my hardest to give the benefit of the doubt and like decipher this. But he's like, why is he saying he's gonna go to bed? And look at the lady's face. The lady's face is my face. It's just like, what are you saying? What?
Yeah, we talked about at the conference overall. We talked about stability. We talked about making sure that the third world, the Southern Hemisphere had access to change it, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all. He came up with
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference.
Look, like they have to cut him off. Like, bro, he doesn't know where he's at.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody said there should be a age cutoff.
There really should.
Again, I do think that's kind of ageist, but
but listen, there's a reason why. That's all I'm saying. There's a reason why.
This is not looking good.
Yeah.
And the whole talk about the third world and
what the fuck,
Southern Hemisphere is like, it makes you wonder, like, is there some kind of logic to that? Like, did he just release information that was not supposed to be released and that's why he got cut off? Or did he get...
Maybe he's just speaking nonsense. Either way, how are you gonna know? It's like, what if the enemy's listening into Biden, right? Let's just say it's Russia. It's like it's the Red Scare all over again, right? Let's just say it's Russia. Russia's listening in. They're trying to like figure out maybe Biden's gonna slip up and like reveal something he's not supposed to. I don't think you should listen to him because you won't even know if it's true. What if he tells you, oh yeah, we're in Alaska with our nukes? You go to Alaska, there's no nukes there because he's just speaking bullshit. And it's not even he's trying to. He's just, look at him.
Get cut off because he's old and he's losing his mind.
Yeah.
So it's the state of our affairs for the United States of America.
Dude, it's
American dream, y'all.
American dream. American dream. Great video. I love Biden. If nothing else, both Biden and Trump provide me entertainment for different reasons, right? I think Trump is hilarious. He's a very entertaining person to watch. I don't necessarily agree with his political decisions, but he's a really entertaining guy. Biden's entertaining too, but not because of anything he does purposefully like Trump. I think he's entertaining because it's just comical what he does. It's stupid. Like, oh my God, this is so sad. This is so sad. Let's go next.
Hey, look, the once proud but now shitty car company Ford laid off 600 staff at a Michigan plant after a strike that's seen 13,000 workers from the big three American car makers walk out over a 40% pay rise demand.
See, when you hear that, right? When you hear 40% pay rise, what you immediately think is like, wow, they're asking for a lot. The first thing I would say is, is 40% a lot? Let's take it in context, right? If I get paid $1 and I ask for a 40% increase, I'm asking for 40 cents. That's not a lot by today's standards. Even though companies don't even want to give that sometimes, because I got a 70-cent increase in my job when I got a raise. And it's like, bro, what? I'm already getting underpaid in New York. I can't survive. You're only giving me 70 cents extra, which granted, $1 extra a year amounts to about a $2,000 increase. But again, that's almost nothing, especially in New York. That's almost nothing. So this is where to kind of ruin the surprise here, to kind of spoil the big three. So there's been a lot of strikes happening. So obviously the big strikes that were happening were the Writers Guild, the Filming Association, all that stuff, which ironically enough, my cousin works and she was telling me like, yeah, she's chilling in her job because they're not doing anything because the writing has stopped, the movie making has stopped, but it's starting up again now soon. But this is where essentially what ends up happening is a lot of strikes followed that strike, one of them being for the car industry. And to kind of, put a spoiler on things, every strike has basically worked. I don't know if it's worked fully, but every strike eventually, because the Fed, or was it FedEx? No, it was UPS or something. One of the mailing strikes that happened before the Writers Guild strike, or maybe during it, I forgot, basically worked out. The Writers Strike Guild shit worked out too. And the car one, from what I hear, has either been worked out or is working out. So it's just like striking, is good. Striking is good. Unions are good, despite what the company will say. And the companies are going hard to stop unions. Like, they're going super hard with just like media and everything. I'm not going to go into it specifically because I believe it's going to be in a later episode, but it is crazy.
As the General Motors boss defends her $30 million salary.
I think he misdid the video because it says 30 billion.
In this article, she says that the UAW needs to be realistic about their demands.
Oh.
While she makes $30 million a year,
yep.
Which, by the way, is a 34% increase from her pay 4 years ago.
Bro, if you give anyone 30 million, they should be able to live the rest of their life, as long as they're not being stupid, right? If you give someone 30 million, they could have a decent house, and by decent, I mean pretty good house, whatever food they want, and they can live. Car, family, take care of their kids, go to college, anything. 30 million should be enough for a lifetime, not for a fucking year.
But they need to be realistic.
Oh.
This is the line from the article that got me the most here. Bruce Bamhauer, president of UAW Local 12 in Toledo, Ohio. He says in 2008 and 2009, they went through bankruptcy with their companies with Barack Obama, and they were told that they had to give up concessions for the government to support them. So when they came out of bankruptcy, their starting pay was $15.78. Guess how much it is 15 years later? $15.78.
Disgusting. Yeah, another example of a company being a company. Greedy and not respecting its workers and only caring about the top, just like society. Hopefully we're going to see more examples of that. Let's go next.
And when you're poor, you have a very, very, very small tolerance for mistakes.
That's
if
true.
I pop a
so I kind of remember this video, even though it's been a while back. It's literally from 7-3, even though I didn't send it to myself on 7-3, which is what? May, June, July. That's July 3rd, for fuck's sake. Wow. But, oh my god, I'm just looking at the comments, right? I love how the rich act like you're better off starting poor. You honestly are, though. This is where it's wrong, right? Starting off poor definitely instills you with stuff. It could also break you. It could also ruin you, for sure. But I think starting off poor definitely helps the majority of the time. This is where I'm going back to my universal basic income example, right? With that example, the universal basic income, what essentially happens is there's going to be a percentage of people that take advantage. There's going to be a percentage of people, if they grow up poor, they could be rich, greedy fucking assholes because they're so, I don't want to say selfish, but they're so used to, like, scrounging, right? I feel I'm like this, too. I feel like I'm kind of in the negative parts of what I say. But this is where if I were to be rich, I'd still be cheap as fuck, even though I'm rich. Maybe I'd spend a little bit more, but this is where I think for a majority of people, if they grow up poor, they learn the value of things. And I think that's what's important. So even though there's some people who, if they grow up poor, they'll become rich, selfish assholes. They'll become Scrooge McDuck, basically, right? other people, the majority of people, will actually benefit from it. So I don't understand this comment here, but anyway.
A tire or God forbid break a wheel, I'm like financially like 3 months. Whereas today I could total my car and go buy another one at a dealership like tonight. Like it doesn't matter. So the amount of mistakes that I can make are way different.
Dude, if you're rich, there's just so much that works out for you. And I was actually discussing it with my friend Adrian yesterday, ironically while we were watching sumo wrestling. If you're rich, you can have all these things provided for you. The biggest thing I think that a job takes away is your time and opportunity. Most of your day goes from traveling in, traveling out, and doing the job there, right? And you're doing something that isn't necessarily benefiting you. It's benefiting you in the lowest way possible of just providing you money, which can benefit you with other things, but that's on your time, which you have very little of. The majority of your time goes to the working day, but if you're rich, not only do you not have to work, you have time to focus on other things. You can get things that you need taken care of for you. For instance, food. Let's just say you need to eat food. It's better for you to eat good food, right? Oh, you don't know what the good food is, and it's hard to educate yourself, even though it kind of is, kind of isn't. Oh, just hire someone, right? When you're rich, you can have so many things taken care of you that will just benefit you and lead you to success. Success becomes so much more easier when you're rich because of all of the opportunities that are provided to you and all of the easiness of, I guess, access to things and just not leisure, but luxury things that you can get. Again, someone cooking you food. You can have a personal chef cook you food. That's not only, food that will feed you, that will keep you alive, but it's good food that will actually improve your health and make it easier to do things. After a long day of work, people come home, they want to eat something yummy. They want to eat something that doesn't take a lot of time to prepare. Why? Because they've had a long day and they don't have the time, right? Food is one way that people stave off depression, even though a lot of the food in the US causes depression with what's in it. It's processed. But this is where food, as well as many other avenues, either for time's sake or for what feeling it elicits when you do it, is a way to kind of fight off the pangs of work, right? Because work is it's a depressing thing. But when you're rich, you don't have to deal with that stuff, and a lot of stuff you get basically helps you just push you further into success.
I've seen a lot of poor people have more motivation to succeed because they didn't have those things growing up, and so they don't take them for granted. A lot of them ended up in really interesting careers because they really would push themselves. A lot of the private school kids.
Yeah, not everyone, but most people I believe this is true for. Although it's sad that this is the reality of how it has to be done. It's similar to bullying and, sadness and happiness, right? And kindness, really. This is where the people who are truly kind have pretty much went through something really bad in their lives. And it's sad that you need to suffer to learn the value of things, but I guess it's just one of the realities of life.
A few of them had everything handed to them and just no motivation whatsoever.
I don't think that's true at all. No way. I would fight on that. I went to a private school and then I went to a public college, and mine was blown the fuck away when I saw the difference in educational outcomes. If you see like 1,000 people in a shitty area, the only ones you're going to see after some time are the people that made it out. Yeah, and then it's tempting to say, well, I know a lot of people from really bad backgrounds that made it out like really well, so maybe everybody can do that. And it's like, well, those are probably the exceptions to the rule rather than...
I also believe that as well. And I know it's contradictory to what I'm saying, but let's keep listening.
The rule itself.
I've noticed like one of the most destructive things that you can do to a kid is to give them everything. And then they feel totally entitled.
I think both things are right. And even though they're a little contradictory to each other, I think both things are definitely right.
And then they don't feel like they have to work for certain things. Don't you feel like that, in a sense, could be replicated by a government that...
I think they're going to extremes. You having nothing versus you having everything are two extremes. I think, obviously, you should have the bare minimum, but if you don't give luxury stuff, if you just give the bare minimum, I feel like that instills a good amount of values in a kid.
It potentially gives out too many handouts towards.
But also, if you're really poor, you only see, because there's definitely cycles to things. There's cycles of poverty. I think the people who do make it out of poverty, the majority of those people, even though it's not a lot of people, right? Let's just say every generation, there's 1,000 people who are poor, 10 people make it out. Of those 10 people, 9 of them will understand the value of things. 1 of them will become Scrooge McDuck. I think that's what happens. A majority of the people who make it out from when they're poor understand value. Even though it's not a lot of them making it out, the ones who do make it out are way better than the ones who are rich, who have been handed everything and gone to being rich through that way.
Towards people.
With everything in life, there's a balance. You're not looking to give them all the answers. You're looking to give them all the tools and all the opportunities. A kid should still be...
You should also guide them, but yeah.
Challenged in education and challenged in life, but you want to make sure they have the appropriate tools to deal with those challenges.
Mentally as well.
some level of like tension, some level of adversity
is good. It steels you. It does force you to improve. It makes you better.
Is really healthy for you because you develop a tenacity to deal with other problems later in life.
Exactly.
But it can't be never-ending adversity and
I'm eating a pear. That's what this is.
And trauma. Based on like the amount of like traumatic experience you've had as a child, you can like make so many predictions on bad physiological outcomes, cardiovascular disease, lifespan, all sorts of things based on
mental stuff specifically, which is what I struggle with the most.
Trauma endured as a child. So, and when you're
very nice video. I think I said enough about this. Let's go next. Very, very good though. Rich versus poor is a very interesting debate, interesting topic.
This is actually wild. A first of its kind study was just published, which found that
just look at this image, by the way. Look at how charged this image is.
Which found that a significant number of people showed signs of consciousness for up to an hour after their heart stopped. Oh, it's crazy.
See, that doesn't make any sense then, because I know you remain alive a little bit after your body, stops working, because there's still some activity going on. Because there's some leftover oxygen, there's some leftover energy. Your brain can function a little bit with what it has before it, it conks out, the fuel tank's empty. But not for a fucking hour. There's no way.
Crazier is that in that time, which they were RIP'd, 40% of the patients reported having experiences like seeing deceased loved ones, floating above their bodies.
See, this is where I believe the mind is playing tricks and illusions on them. I think they're having delusions where it's like this, right? Let's just say you get scared. If you see people get scared and, 99% of them jump back when you frighten them, you're going to think like, wow, that must be a real thing. Yeah, this is where I think it's a natural thing. The brain, obviously, when it's shutting down, there's a reason why they say you see your life flash before your eyes and stuff, right? This is what your brain wants to remember while it's dying. It's trying to comfort itself, I feel like. Or, it's going along with what is a natural process that we don't understand yet, but is very common to most people because, again, it's natural. That's kind of the scientist in me trying to pose this as a way to make it make sense, but I do believe this. I don't believe necessarily there's an afterlife. I could be wrong, but with the evidence we have, I feel like this is just a natural response by the brain as what happens when people die. It's like dreaming, right? Let's just say you watch a scary movie when you dream, or before you go to bed, and then you dream. And what if like people said, "Oh no, you don't dream. When you fall asleep, you actually go to a different universe, right?" And then they say, "Oh, what universe you go to is influenced by what you do right before you fall asleep." Right? Well, by this logic, I guess it has to be true that when we watch scary movies, we go to a scary universe because I have scary dreams, but they don't see it as dreams. I hope that makes sense. I might sound like a fucking crack job, but...
Faceless, ethereal figures, watching medics perform CPR on their own bodies, and even having demons...
Oh, God! That thing has some titties, actually. Wow.
Surrounding their bed. And then in reference to these experiences, kind of surprising, the paper said instead of being hallucinatory, illusionary, or delusional, this appears to facilitate lucid understanding of new dimensions of reality.
There's no way. There's no way.
Oh, God. New dimensions of reality before GTA 6, eh? The question is, do you think their experiences were just hallucination?
I think it's somewhat of a hallucination.
Or do you believe that there is something after death?
Unfortunately, I don't. But again, I could be wrong. But yeah, no, it's crazy that this happens. I kind of don't know why I put it in the show here. But this is where I'm going to try and branch the show out to not just be Dark Dimension, just interesting things as well. Little tidbit breaks. I kind of find it funny that, this is happening before GTA 6. But, pretty decent video. But not too Dark Dimension-esque. Let's keep going.
Ooh, we should stop saying God bless America
girl.
if we believe in a separation of church and state.
Yeah.
We should abolish the for-profit prison system. Ooh.
Oh, that is one of the biggest issues. There's a reason our country, right, aside from the culture it has, especially with like the gun laws and everything, right, with how much violence there is, which I would say there's underlying issues that contribute to that, especially the culture, and especially the cycles of poverty, like I was saying before. But one of the biggest things we have to look at is the United States has more prisoners than I think anywhere else in the world, right? And why is that? Because there's profit involved, because they're treated, in my opinion, like indentured servants or basically slaves, where they're commodified. Like, if you look at and I think I've showed this in an episode before, but if you look at how the prison system works and how they gamble with inmates and stuff, they literally use them for like free, cheap labor, which is essentially slavery because they give them almost nothing for the output they're producing, which is basically happening in real life, just not to an extreme extent like that. Like, let's just say this, right? You'll go to prison, and in prison you don't really have a choice. You kind of do, but the choice really isn't a choice, because it's like, okay, you either do this job we have you do, and we'll give you like a quarter for it, or you'll go into solitary, which is a very, very bad thing for people's mental, right? This is where you get paid a quarter for doing work that's worth like $50 an hour, essentially. Because they're building, I don't know exactly what they're doing. I'm not too tuned in that sense, but I know they're building, they might be like making infrastructure. They have people in prisons fucking working.
Yeah, the government should
and producing.
Tell you exactly what you owe in taxes, and they only don't because of extensive lobbying by both TurboTax and H&R Block, which
Thank you, TurboTax and H&R Block.
is totally not kawaii. Yeah.
It's not kawaii at all. This is where it's not daijobu. So I think the fact that the government knows exactly how much we owe, this is where we can delay it and stuff, and this is where we can take certain tax cuts if we need them. But the fact that we just can't see the number of, oh, without any tax cuts, without any delays or anything, if you want to, like, you know, push back your taxes, this is how much we think you owe. Can you please pay this? The fact that we have to figure it out is one of the stupidest things that infuriates me so much, because it's what causes a lot of people to make mistakes and then pay more money. And that's where the crux lies, the money. This is where it's so dumb that this is the way it is because it's for profit. Because most of the people, and this is basically what it boils down to, most of the people in America are stupid. They're not that smart. Most people are not smart. This is where, and I'm a part of this too, this is where a lot of people will make mistakes, me included, and those mistakes will cost you money. So because they're taking advantage of stupid people, they get more money. And by getting money, they have the power to keep taking advantage of the stupid. It's so fucked up. Anyway, I love little kawaii girl Kaisa Streams. I really like her. I think she's cute, and I think she's very informative. Very nice video. Thank you, Kaisa Streams. Let's go next.
When I arrived, the CEO of a Fortune 500 earned 40 times his average worker, which seems like a lot of money.
40 times is a lot, yeah. For every 1 year he works, I have to work 40. Yes.
And it was about the same. Today, in Japan, it's still 40 or 50 times.
Okay.
In America, it's over 300 times.
Oh!
Which I think is only describable as obscene.
Obscene? And, no way.
I think the average hour worked
gets you nothing.
Only earns about 10% more than it did in 1975.
Disgusting, but true.
And that trails way behind the French. It's up 140%.
Wow. What? What, you don't like your 10%? Go to jail.
The dopey Brits are up about
60%. The dopey Brits.
Somewhere between 0 and 10%.
This disgusting. And remember, we are the richest country in the world. The United States, whoever knows, who knows how long it's going to last, but we are the richest country in the world, bruh.
Average worker should feel that he has been ripped off.
And we do. But there's nothing we could do about it because we either work or we die. And I don't mean like, actual death. I mean like you starve and you have a horrible quality of life where you're going to want to die anyway. Like it's fucking terrible because the way they treat the homeless in the country, I've gone over before. Because I repeat 97.7% of the things I've said. It's so bad and it's only getting worse. So many things are just getting worse. Also, I love the first comment where they put like the angry emoji. But this is where, again, I think the internet is doing a great thing. I don't know if it's going to be enough. And I'm, trying to fight the good fight with the internet as well, where we're spreading around the ideas. Granted, Granted, this video isn't getting out to too many people, only a couple million. But, we do what we can. Anyway, let's go next.
I'm sorry. I don't have any. I'm a little baby. I'm a baby. I have no money. I can pay you in blocks. No. I'm a baby. I'm sorry.
This is crazy. So the caption is, when corporations posting record profits are asked about pay raises, health insurance, parental leave, and adequate PTO. We're not even asking for anything crazy. We're asking for just the bare minimum. And again, I've said this time and time again. It's like they want to flex so hard, like, oh, we're doing so good. We're doing so good. But then when we ask for anything, like, oh, can we get some then? Oh, sorry, we got nothing, sorry. Like, it's so disgusting, man. It's like we're being lied to straight to our fucking face. It's so dumb. And you know where this is, right? right near my job, literally right near my job in Midtown Manhattan, or my old job rather. Like, oh my god, it's so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. I hate this shit. I hate fucking Manhattan. I hate New York. I hate the world. I hate everything. I hate myself too. Next. Oh! America. No more sidewalk. Look at how shitty this is. You know what's sad? So, this is a little, fuck, I'm forgetting the word of it, but this is a little manipulative. So, obviously, in every place on Earth, you can find a place that looks shitty. And there's a lot of places on Earth that look way shittier than just this, right? This is where we definitely have to take it in context, but I just love the little description of the video. It's stressful and humiliating. Just going for a walk in America is stressful and humiliating to people now. But, this is where you always have to ask the question, right? Are people just being dramatic? Are they just seeing, like, and feeling the crowd's opinion and absorbing it into their own without really formulating it or, you know, themselves? Or is this actually true? Now, obviously, I think people know what side I'm on. I'm on the side of America's fucking terrible. Again, I live in New York City and they barely fix anything here, although some stuff does get fixed very fast. This is where I think, like, this was just funny. I honestly just thought this was just funny. America's so shitty and people are thinking it too. Anyway, let's go next.
Perhaps no job better embodies the image of business.
Holy shit, this is 9 minutes. I don't know if we're going to watch all of this, but let's see a little bit of it. So obviously, again, one of my favorite places in the world, one of the best places in the world, Midtown Manhattan.
Than investment banking. It's got fancy offices, screens,
yes,
and those dress shirts where the collar is a different color than the rest of the shirt. You see a fellow wearing one of those and you just know he's got kids he doesn't talk to. But while the image of investment banking is common knowledge, the function is much less common of knowledge. So
this is where basically I'm pretty sure the video is just going to say investment banking is bullshit.
What the hell do these guys really do? I'm here outside the offices of Goldman Sachs. Just behind these very doors, dozens of my high school bullies are chained to ergonomic chairs, staring at Excel and cracked out on prescription stimulants.
And unprescribed stimulants too, like crack.
Investment banks like these have
cocaine.
Been some of the most prestigious places to work on Wall Street.
Yeah, and most of those places are terrible for the consumer. I always say this. Chase and Bank of America are so bad comparatively to what other banks offer you, and that's because they're the biggest banks, which should mean, oh, if they're the biggest, they must be the best, right? Wrong. The way things work in this reality is if you're the biggest, you can get away with the most because you're on top. It's so dumb. They give you so little interest, it's disgusting. Now, granted, for their rich clients, they're probably great, but for the everyday clients, they're just taking advantage and siphoning.
Landing spots for young people to make fuck you vest money, coupled with long hours and taking loud phone calls in restaurants. An entire culture has been crafted around investment banking. Yet the question remains.
What do bankers actually do?
What do investment bankers actually do?
What do investment bankers actually do?
Investopedia defines investment banking as a
Investopedia is so good, by the way.
Type of banking that organizes and advises large complex financial transactions, such as mergers or IPO underwriting.
What the fuck does that mean?
And they say more, but no chance I'm reading all that. It's time to stop beating around the bush and go straight to the source.
See, this is where I wish more videos were made like this, because this actually makes the information digestible and interesting. I think one of the major issues with learning is it's boring and it's not done in a good way. It's done in a drone way. It's making you a drone. I think if information is presented in an interesting way, even if the information isn't that interesting, I think it definitely helps.
A real-life person.
Like, imagine teaching people about investment banking, like, through a textbook versus this. I'm learning more from this than I ever would from a textbook.
Who actually invest.
And look, even the second comment says this was low-key informative. Like, it is.
Investment banked.
On a high level, investment bankers advise companies when they're either trying to raise money, either debt, or they're selling shares.
And then on the day-to-day, what does that look like?
A lot of Excel financial modeling and a lot of PowerPoint presentations. A lot of that.
So it's some of you, or, you know, some of your time being used as basically assuming. Now, granted, it's a guided assumption with software models and probably a lot of formulas and stuff that other people have tried and tested. But at that point, you're not really adding anything new. You're just using the existing stuff. You're basically filling a seat that needs to be there, right? It's like a janitor. People haven't, reinvented the wheel with cleaning. You just need someone to clean. You need someone to push them up. You need someone to understand the formula somewhat and plug the numbers in, right? This is where there's probably higher positions that actually do some guesswork of their own and some legwork trying to figure out new stuff. But I feel like it's very little people who are trying to do that. And this is where not only is part of the job figuring it out, but a bigger part of the job is convincing the others of what you figured out. And again, an easy and digestible way to where they actually understand it. You basically are coming in as an expert and dumbing it down for people who are not experts and convincing them that you're right.
That is sitting around and waiting for comments from your bosses and your boss's bosses.
The chain of command, baby. This is where, again, my friend Adrian, who works for a very structured company, he basically has to go through a chain of command where like something goes to someone else, then it goes to someone else, then it can come back to someone else, then it goes back to him. It goes up and down the ladder, and there's a lot of waiting sometimes in between before stuff actually gets done, which in a way is a benefit. Excuse me, I definitely believe there's checks and reassurances that way, but it also makes things slow.
Sounds electric. Steph Moy is the founder of the financial service company PIN and a former investment banking analyst at JP Morgan. And it would appear from her experience that the exciting world of investment banking is actually much more like the dull world of banking.
Anytime you want to do anything in investment banking, it goes through iterative cycles. Your boss sees your work.
They check it over.
And then he gives you comments. And then your boss's boss sees your work. And then your boss has to approve it. And then it gives it to you. And so it just goes in circles. I just don't think it's that interesting of a job. And it's such a small piece of what you hear about in the news.
Hold your horses. I thought investment banking was the pinnacle.
I like how the guy took a picture with him.
Of America's financial system. A veritable thunderdome of
See, this guy seems so cool and so chill. Like, I love this guy. What the fuck?
Deal making and drug taking, where razor sharp minds driven by lust and ego come together to dominate financial markets and buy a house. And
that basically describes most of the rich. Lust and ego.
Sag Harbor.
When you talk about an investment banking analyst, essentially what you are doing is you are working in a very, very high-end sales role. So essentially you are at the mercy of your senior bankers whose job it is to provide financial advice to large corporations.
Liam Killingstad has a mustache. He is also...
Okay, so I'm going to stop it here because I don't want to go through the whole thing. There's some more videos I want to get to before who knows when I record this shit again. But I think it's very interesting to see just how much bullshit this is. You know, the higher up you go and stuff, the more hierarchical it becomes. There's a lot of... Obviously, there's a lot of nuance to these things, but it's not as crazy as people seem. And I feel like just the mist of uncertainty kind of does that, where people think like it's unknowable, it's rocket science. If you look at it, you won't understand it. And again, even if you do look at it and probably don't, it's not as complicated as you might think. And this is where a lot of things, especially high up things, are not as complicated as you might think. And they're honestly bullshit. A lot of my friends, right, and I don't have many, but of the people I've talked to, friends and not friends, friends and acquaintances, that I've talked to over the years that are in high up positions, yeah, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's long hours. But at the end of the day, one of the things they iterate to me is like, they don't understand why they're being paid this much for this thing when it's not as hard as, you know, it should be for the pay that it's giving. Not all the time, but sometimes. It's crazy. Anyway, really good video. It really shows the bullshit, especially of Wall Street or, you know, investment banking. I don't know if this is necessarily Wall Street, but a lot of stuff is bullshit. Let's keep going. When the handbook says you'll be fired if you're caught discussing pay, but it's legal to discuss that. It's protected. This is where companies literally lie to you. As they've lied to me with my COVID sick time against the New York State mandate, they either don't know the law sometimes, which is, you know, their, you know, ignorance, right? It's faultful ignorance too. They're supposed to know this shit and they have no excuse for not knowing it, but sometimes they don't know it. Sometimes it's not, I would say, aggressive in its perpetration, but other times they know the law and they legit just lie to you because they know you don't know it and you're going to trust them. And you won't go through the legwork, or you can't go through the legwork either because you're too stupid or you don't have enough time, you're tired from your day, whatever it is, to actually realize what the rules are and catch them on it. And even if you do catch them on it, they're doing it probably to so many other people where it doesn't matter if you catch them, because at the end of the day, they're just going to be slapped with a fine and it's not going to matter. The court of public opinion sometimes is worse than what any fine could do. And it's sad. But yeah, no, this is definitely true. And one thing people need to realize is like, and this culture has actually been perpetrated by my job too, where people didn't want to discuss salaries. And I think it's been, I don't know if it's fully people that have made it that way or jobs influencing people to make it that way, but it's seen as sort of shameful to discuss your salary. It seems like you're ungrateful, or, and this is what I've gotten also from my family as well, and they're, you know, they're like 90-year-old immigrants, so there was a different mentality back then with pay. But it almost feels like shameful, especially for men, to discuss pay and find out you're getting paid less than someone else. It's almost like there's a shame there of like, oh, you're not providing as well as someone else, which leads to comparison, which is always bad. But this is where it is protected, and similar to unions and similar to strikes, I think they only do good. I think discussing pay and being transparent with that sort of stuff can only do good for you and everyone around you, because it promotes equality. Granted, some people could mess it up. Some people could use it as a bullying tactic, like, haha, you make less than me. And this is where, sadly enough, the term of the adult, I think, isn't accurate, because there are adults who are still basically children. Never grew up. But, yeah, no, this is definitely something that people need to know. Discussing pay not only is legally protected, but it's something that I would personally encourage, because it helps everyone not only stay on the same page, but promote equality with payment. Anyway, let's keep going.
Tips to save your soul while working a full-time job.
Ooh.
Work the bare minimum number of hours.
Some people don't have a choice.
Above and beyond is to write on your tombstone,
Yup.
not your resume.
That's true. See, and the sad part is he's not fully right here. This is where going above and beyond for the right people helps. This is where going above and beyond, those people who go above and beyond are more likely, sometimes, to get promoted over other people, but other times they're more likely to just stay in the position because they're useful in that position. They're a known slave.
So do exactly what's asked of you and nothing more.
That's what I try and do.
Stay in a job for only 2 pairs of worn-out shoes.
Ooh.
The third pair and you're walking in circles.
Ha!
Don't.
That is true. If you like switch jobs, usually you'll get a pay increase, because the jobs have to follow. Well, they don't have to, and honestly, they haven't been really doing it recently. But usually what should happen, and what sometimes happens, is they follow inflation. So getting a new job, even with the same position, will actually pay you more over time than getting a raise or a promotion, because they try and undercut you a lot.
Let them see the human inside you. Say yes and sure and no worries, because anything else you say will be misunderstood and used against you.
That's so true.
Mark all management emails as spam. And don't forget to hold a proper burial for your 2 pairs of work shoes.
Yep.
And remember to plant a flower garden over them.
Yep. Help the environment. What a great guy. This guy's pretty funny. I like the comments saying this man has been through it. But yeah, I definitely agree. And this is where this idea, or these ideas he's portraying, are definitely going to clash with the older generations, because they're, I would say, better slaves than us. I would say they like getting it up the ass, and we don't stand for it. The young generation doesn't stand for it. We're like, this is not right, this is fucked up, right? We don't want to be slaves, we want fair treatment. And the older generation is like, well, no, you had to take it. Part of that comes from like, oh, well, we took it, so what about you? But that's a very toxic mentality that, again, I also share too, right? Why did I have it tough and you didn't? You need to like suffer like me, which again, it's sad that that's what some people think, but it is what happens. So I think they have part of the mentality of, you know, you suffered or I suffered, so, you know, you need to suffer as well. You need to learn. But we should just like stop all the suffering in general. At some point, someone's going to have to take the shit under the stick, but it's just what's going to have to happen if things are going to get better. Someone is going to have to be the last one to suffer, hopefully. But yeah, no, fuck work, fuck jobs. Terrible fucking things. And what a great guy who's showing it. Definitely good tips for life. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, this guy again.
Riding in the work toilet is the beginning of adulthood.
That's what I do, or did.
You go into this world, and
yeah.
You go into a school,
yep.
And you go into a job.
And then you retire, and in a couple of years you have some fun, even though you can't because your body's giving out, and then you die.
Office toilet, 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, the hours of the working week, to sit and wonder what.
Oh, damn, this music's going crazy.
Life eventually backs you into hiding in the office toilet.
It's so true. It's so true. For me, it was the stairway too. For me, I love just going in the stairway.
It's here that you finally arrive as an adult.
Yup.
The work toilet is where you can shut yourself away from the sleepwalking and the sleepwalkers, away from the war,
the White Walkers,
reality and your childhood,
yep.
away from the judge and the jury against you.
Wow.
Instead, the work toilet is where you can have your back to the wall,
yep.
but lock the door.
Yes.
It's a micro nap with a window to the stars at the end of the dark forest.
Yes.
And of all places, it's where your spirit can finally come up for air, in the toilet.
Excuse me, that's so sad. But nah, I'm not gonna lie, what this guy's saying is very true. The best part about TikTok for me, one of the best parts, is I feel like with a lot of the ideas I had, I was alone, right? I didn't know how many other people believe this. And the sad part is, now that I've seen TikTok, not only have these ideas been strengthened, which now might not work out for me in the future, but it's good to know that other people believe this and I'm not too crazy. But the sad part is, right, if other people believe this and other people hate work, why is work not better? And that's where it's because the few people who are ruling at the top make it that way, because they have the power, we don't. But it's good to know we're not suffering alone and that other people understand it, which hopefully can lead to change. But I love this guy. This guy says facts. That work sucks. Anyway. Excuse me. So, the caption here, me going to work half awake after falling asleep at 4 a.m. the night before, right? This is literally me. When I was working, I used to get 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I would say 3.5 on average, right? I used to go to bed at like 4 a.m., 4 a.m., wake up at 7 a.m. and do the whole thing over. And I've said the spiel before. But it's like, bruh, I don't know what society's doing, but I put this in basically to just have a little giggle, just have a little laugh, and kind of show my suffering to people. Anyway, really nice video. Let's go next. We're getting through them, though.
If you just try and put the pieces together, you can usually follow the line of corruption. And that line of corruption really entitles under 3 companies, right? One of them is Vanguard, who is so open about...
Vanguard is so ass.
Americans are about to start losing their jobs. Let's get into it. Now just follow the puzzle pieces here, right?
Oh god, see, this sounds conspiracy theorist. I'm a little scared.
Banks expect unemployment to spike above 4% in the next 12 months. Do you know whose banks specifically are closing down right now? Not only closing down, but closing or shutting down accounts without a valid reason, right? Now who owns Chase Bank? JP Morgan. It's ironic because in the UK, they won't specifically mention which banks are closing down, but they're all JP Morgan's Chase banks, right? That's
just conjecture. We don't know if that's true or not. That's just assuming.
What's interesting. Thousands of
But Chase sucks, so leave Chase. Everyone who's watching this, please leave Chase. Chase sucks dick.
Accounts per day. Nobody's being notified of this. All of their assets and values disappearing. Read this. People are...
That's actually crazy to think about. Just think about you have money in an account and one day it's just not there. Where did it go? No one knows.
In absolute fear and terror, lives being ruined, thousands of businesses being closed. These are people who have done nothing wrong whatsoever.
Wow.
They're doing it right in front of you, but distracting.
And you're taking it.
You with other news, and this is
Ukraine.
This is the thing, right? So many people speak upon distractions, and people always want an answer like, what are they distracting us from? Well, it's clear that there is a centralized banking agency coming to play.
The Fed.
Where we will have to rely on them for every asset,
now,
value, or self-worth that we have. Oh, but this is right in the midst of a federal investigation that nobody's talking about. That so happened to include this company and Vanguard.
BlackRock.
The 2 most corrupted companies in the entire world. Wow, how ironic. Or what?
This guy sounds like me.
To explain corporate environmental, social, and governance efforts that could violate federal antitrust laws.
Yeah, and what does violating the laws do? Just pay a fine.
It's so funny, man.
Pay a fine and keep doing it every year.
It's like there's one side going at the other side, but they're both fucking evil. So they're basically gonna make each other just fold into the ground for us.
Well, that's not true. One of them is gonna come out on top and they're gonna become the prime evil.
Let's be honest. The people should just let this play out, honestly. Just let this economy go to shit and just let us see. Let us see their true colors because they're gonna shine.
See, I want the economy to go to shit because I feel like that's one of the only ways that we can actually have any real change occur now. And when the economy goes to shit, I hope the rich will be eaten.
out into the light, you know what I mean? There's certain people that have been filling other people's pockets for so long that you wouldn't even be able to comprehend even a smidge of it, you know? And there's so much corruption in America alone.
It's true.
That you'd be baffled at what you could possibly learn.
And I always say this, we see the bad of reality that's recorded. We can't record everything. Imagine the bad of reality that's not recorded. Imagine all the bad stuff that's going on that we don't know about. Because the stuff we know about is only a fraction of what we don't know. And what we don't know is probably a lot worse.
If you want me to take you down that rabbit hole, I will gladly take you down that rabbit hole. But you actually...
That's what I do. Kind of.
Gotta stay with me.
No.
If you follow the money, you find the root to the...
This guy's very, This guy's also very manipulative. Very, he's like a showman. He's not providing much substance.
Corruption.
Unlike me.
It's also...
No offense to him, though. I think it was a great video.
Really funny that JP Morgan's closing all these banks, because if you really think about it, they still owe over $300 million to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, that still has not been paid.
Yeah, that's nothing to them, though.
Yeah, let's talk about...
But if they pay it, that means they admit wrongdoing.
UFOs and aliens.
They're never going to
understand that aspect of aliens has been twisted throughout time so much. I'm not even sure people can grasp even a simple understanding of what aliens really are.
Aliens.
Right? If you want a true understanding, right, of where the corruption really comes from in this physical realm, right, and what aliens really are, research the Anunnaki for me. And if you want me to take you down that rabbit hole, I'll take you down that rabbit hole too. But people focus on the money, your assets, your value. Don't give in to it, because it's coming, and I hope you're ready for it.
Okay, so this guy's definitely pretty sensationalizing stuff. Pretty much sensationalizing stuff. Very charged. Very little conspiracy theorist. But some of the ideas were cool. I would say decent video. I guess I sent this to myself and I didn't watch the whole thing, or maybe I was high on crack or something. I don't know. But okay, video, not bad. Let's go next.
I should get some sleep.
Oh, me. So, so this is at this time, right? Student loans, especially during October, I believe that's when they started back up. We're starting back up. Spoiler alert. Excuse me. So, this is where people like. Already they're struggling, and now they're going to struggle even more, right? Because now they have to repay their loans again, even though Biden's forgiving some of them, but not for everyone. But that's an evolving process. I feel like Biden is forgiving them just because he's doing so bad in the public eye. He's just trying to get some support anywhere. Like, that's so sad, man. That's me at night too, though. But yeah, pretty funny, pretty sad that it's funny because it's true, but pretty good. But yeah, shout out to all my student loan payers. I feel bad for y'all.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we're not going to watch this video. I think we've done sufficient amount of content today. We've gone over an hour, which is what I wanted to do. Again, who knows when I'm going to record another of these, but I feel like we did a lot of good today. So, let's see how much... Oh, fuck! Let's see how much we got through. We got through... We are up to September 21st. We're still in September. Yay! Anyway, let me like this video right here. Alright, so that's the last video we're at. We have a lot to get through to get to today. Who knows when we're going to do it. I always said when I was unemployed, but even now, I think even when unemployed, it's gonna not be possible. Because who knows. But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. I still do very much enjoy making these, even though I need to gather the will to make them. I need to gather the will to do anything nowadays. But this is pretty fun. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys for the next episode. God knows when, but probably for you guys, it's going to release in a week because I have a big stack of backlog. Anyway, that's it. Hope everyone enjoyed. I stream at Twitch TV Tecnics channel. Come watch me meander over there. Eee!